Let's be honest here. Calculus is confusing. Shakespeare is difficult to understand. Having a teenager's brain and body, that is sheer terror.
Well, it's why Colorado lawmakers say our sex education classes need an update to teach kids about consent, rejection, gender, and, of course, safety. It's also why some parents say this is too delicate a conversation to be on a chalkboard.
Well, tonight, Denver 7's Jennifer Kovaleski is going 360 on sex ed and the anger over expanding it.
Hey, let's be humans here, all right? Calm down.
Rival sides yelling at each other amid angry pushing.
This is abuse, though.
Tirades about morals.
I got freedom of speech. Who's going to tell me what to say and what not to say?
And claims of misinformation.
No, it doesn't, period.
This is what played out at the state capitol as lawmakers debated a controversial comprehensive sex education bill.
Wow, did this light up the network?
A bill which would not mandate sex ed in schools, but says if public or charter schools choose to teach it, it must be comprehensive, and updates what that means to include education about sexuality and consent, a change people are fired up about. They packed this committee room, filled 2 overflow rooms, and 300 people signed up to testify. But let's start this 360 with the lawmaker behind the bill. Democrat Representative Susan Lontine says this is about wellness for our youth and teaching them about all forms of sexuality, an effort to push for acceptance in hopes of pushing out shaming and bullying of LGBTQ relationships.
Being gay, being lesbian, it's not a choice that people have. And I think when we can have honest conversations with our kids about those things.
Lontine's bill also adds requirements for teaching youth about consent.
The consent piece is important to me because I don't think that that's something that's ever been taught to our kids.
To be clear, state law already bans teaching abstinence-only sex ed. But right now, charter schools can apply for a waiver not to teach comprehensive sex ed. This bill puts an end to the loophole.
They're teaching abstinence-only education, which is really harmful to kids.
Other supporters of the bill include the ACLU and Planned Parenthood, who say acceptance can go a long way towards lowering suicide rates.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Not only does Planned Parenthood believe young people deserve fact-based, inclusive information, 98% of parents agree.
Those against the bill made their presence known at the Capitol. Parents, grandparents, and faith leaders, including the Archdiocese of Denver, lined the halls to share their perspectives.
I think that the parents have the right to teach their kids how they should be. Sexuality, what that looks like.
For parent Jeremiah Class, this goes against his morals. He wants the government out of it and says conversations about sexuality belong at home.
To teach my children sexuality that I agree with. And I don't think it's proper for the school to make that choice for me.
To give you an idea just how passionate this debate got, a minute into our conversation.
Who are you?
Yeah, this is kind of weird.
This man, who refused to identify himself, tried to stop our interview with Jeremiah.
You need to give me a reason. So there is no reason.
They need to stay children.
Certified teacher Patricia Wallace is against the idea for an entirely different reason. She says kids' brains aren't developed enough to talk about sexuality at this age.
And we are misusing this information on our children who are not able to comprehend or even understand it.
Republican Representative Mark Baisley says the bill is unconstitutional.
It is a violation of the First Amendment to the Constitution by telling the school districts that you won't talk about anything having to do with religion.
Grandmother Judith Jurgensen is so fired up by the bill. She came all the way from Colorado Springs to testify.
This is wrong.
She's opposed because she believes in teaching abstinence. And similar to Jeremiah, thinks this is not the government's role.
I'm totally opposed to this bill simply because this is not the role of government teaching our children about sexual education.
Jennifer Kovaleski, Denver 7.
So this debate at the Capitol could last past midnight. Denver 7 will be there for it all. We'd really like to hear from you, especially if you're a parent or a student. You can post your thoughts on our Facebook or Twitter pages, or email us if you'd rather, 360@thedenverchannel.com, and we may share your comments tomorrow at 6 o'clock.